Welcome back everyone. This week we're going to talk about reading frequency tables. Frequency tables can provide a great deal of information about the population or the sample of interest. The frequency is just the number of data values that fall into a given category. So here we have the ages and the frequency of participants in a study. We want to know how many participants provided their ages. Well, the frequency is just a count of how many people were in the study. And so if we want to determine how many provided their ages, we're just going to add all these values up. And so the total number of participants would be 25. The relative frequency is the percentage of the sample that falls into the given category. And it's calculated by using the frequency for the group divided by the total number. We want to determine the relative frequencies for these groups. We know that there's a total overall of 25. 4 divided by 25 is going to be 0.16, or 16%. And then we can do this for all of the other groups as well. 3 divided by 25 is 0.12, or 12%. 10 divided by 25 is 0.40, or 40%. And then 8 divided by 25 is 0.32, or 32%. And if you add all of these up, it should equal 100%. Every person in the study should be represented in one of the categories. The cumulative frequency is just the total frequency as you move up the rows of the table. So for example, in this first group, we have a cumulative frequency of 4. In the second group, we have 4 and 3. So 4 plus 3, which is just 7. And then for the next row, we'll add 10 and get 17. And then for the last row, we add 8 and we'll have 25. So notice that the bottom column of the cumulative frequency is the same as the total number of participants in the study. So let's try an example. We collect data on the number of siblings that students in a college course have. And we have their frequency, their relative frequency, and the cumulative frequency. We want to determine how many students are in the class. Well, we can do that by just adding up all the frequencies, or if you can remember, the cumulative frequency will give you the total. And so, there are a total number of 28 students in the class. How many people in the class have no siblings? Well, the number of siblings here is none, and that means that 4 people in the class have no siblings. What percentage of the students have 2 siblings? Well, here the number of siblings is 2, and our relative frequency is 25%. That's the percentage of the class that has 2 siblings. How many students had at least 4 siblings? So at least 4 would mean 4 and 5 plus. And if we look at those two groups together, we have a total frequency of 5. What percentage of the class had at least 4? Well, we know that there's a total of 5. 5 divided by 28 is about equal to 0.1786, or 17.86%. What percentage had less than 2 siblings? Well, less than 2 would be none, or 1. And then we have a total of 10 here. And so we can solve this by 10 divided by 28. And you can get this answer, but there's another way to answer this question. If we want to know the percentage that has less than 2, well, we know the percentage that has none, and we know the percentage that has 1. We can just add those two together. 14.29 plus 21.43, and that will tell us the percentage that has less than 2 siblings, 35.72%. And if we find 10 divided by 28, you get 0.3571. With rounding, these are essentially the same number. Also notice we could have done the same thing on the second question using 10.71 and 7.14. So what is the total relative frequency? Well, we could add all of these together, but remember that the total relative frequency should always be 100%. How many students had at most 3 siblings? So 3 or less, at most 3. Well, if we want to determine the number of students that had at most 3, If we use the cumulative frequency, it adds up as we go. The number that had at most 3 is 23. To find the percentage, again, we could add up all of these percentages here for those first 4 groups. Or we can just find 23 divided by 28, which is 0.8214, or 82.14%. And barring the differences in rounding, you get the exact same answer no matter which way you do it. Please let me know if you have any further questions.